Yo, it's Guido coming at you with the Tactics Talk, my friends. How are you doing? Thanks for tuning in. I hope everybody's having a fantastic whatever this day is, because I don't know when I'm going to post this thing. So I had this battle this morning. I got up, took the old shower, had my cup of coffee going, sat down. I had about 20 minutes before I had to leave the house. I said 20 minutes is enough to play one game, so I sat down and I grabbed my tank and off I went. Turns out it was this particular game. We are on Himmel's... Stop it, camera. We are on Himmel's Fjords. Oh my gosh, things are going crazy. All right, there we go. Himmel's Fjordsdorf. And I happened to be in the game with Schlagzana from Clan Babbins. I didn't know that until later on in the game. You can see that I'm over there in my 244. Where is Guido? Where is me? Where is me-self? I don't know. Way over there? I'm in the back. I always spawn in the worst possible spot. The game is out to get me, right? That's actually part of this video. Are you one of those people who believes that you have no impact on the game? Because you're only one of 15 players, and therefore, and ergo, and it follows that because I'm only 1/15th of a team, it doesn't matter what I do. It's all luck. Are you one of those people? I would like to try to disabuse you of that thought. And while the weight of 14 other players not doing very well, or potentially a significant portion of the 14 not doing very well, may drag you down and make it more difficult, I will promise you that what you do, your 1 of 15 matters. And I'm going to illustrate that a little bit here, because my next question is, if you believe that you're only 1 of 15 and you can't possibly have enough impact to matter, or the impact is purely luck, i.e. luck of the draw in terms of matchmaker, luck in the draw in terms of skill around you, luck in the draw of RNG. Let me just touch the skill around you thing, because that's an interesting one. If you complain about having bad teams and then at the same time say matchmaker is completely random, then why does it matter if the teams are bad or good? In any event, going back to the I'm 1 of 15 people, is it 2 of 15? Is that good enough to push the game? 5 of 15? We have platoons. 3 of 15? Are you a believer that platoons, if you have 3, can impact the game? Because many of the same people who complain about all of those things and the game being against them will also turn around and say, well, you have good record because you platoon. So is that the limit? Is it 3 of 15, at which point you can positively impact the game? Is it 5? Is it 7? Is it 4.5? Is it 14? I think you can see where I'm getting. See where I am going to with this line of argument. You absolutely, as a one person, have an impact on the game. All of the things that can work against you can work against you, and it can make your impact more difficult to get to. And you will not always have a great positive impact in the game. You've watched me stream. I've showed a bazillion of my replays. You see on Miserable Monday, I have my 0-0-0 games. I just tend to have less than most people. And why is that? It is purely down to skill at the game. Not saying I'm the number one player in any way at all, but I am better than most. Worse than some, and better than most. And I think that's where everybody wants to try to at least get to, if not just improve themselves. So there's two pieces to that. There's the where do I stand in the large scheme of things? What's my impact in the game? And then I want to learn and get better than I currently am now. So if you ascribe to the idea that I'm only 1 of 15 and I can't possibly have an impact, then what's the point of even trying to get better? And how do you measure that if that's your opinion on the game? If it's purely random and everything's working against you, how do you measure if you got better or not? Randomly? Oh, I just randomly had a better game, so I must be getting better. Or matchmaker decided it for me. All right. Let's get to this game in particular. Before we get there, let me just say this about that whole attitude. It's very defeatist. It's like I have that attitude, and then I have to ask you, why are you playing? What's the point then? Just so I can occasionally randomly have a fun game, and then I feel good, and then I can complain about randomly bad games and everything's random. That, I have to tell you, it drives me a little bit crazy. But I'd say, my opinion, and I think this is a fact more than opinion, but you can take it as my opinion if you have a different opinion, is that you absolutely do have an impact. You can improve your gameplay over a large enough sample size. As you get better, you can have better stats. You will do more damage. You will kill more tanks. You will have a better win rate, especially over somebody who doesn't try any of that and thinks it's just random. Now, I suppose there's probably some really good gamers out there. I don't know if this actually is this seems like a unicorn to me, but somebody who's just really good at the game but thinks everything's random. I don't know. I have seen some purple, not purple really necessarily, but blues. Blunicums working towards purple. I have seen that attitude in some, but it doesn't seem very common. All right, so we're going to assume for the rest of this video that you believe you can get better. And I'm going to show you the impact of two good players on a game that helped swing the game in the direction of the green team. Me, pat myself on the back, and Schlagzana, who do as much damage in 2 tanks as just about the rest of the tank. They outdamage us by a bit, but it's pretty close. And the impact of those 2 players, Schlag and myself, is a huge part, especially when you start talking about in a game of 15 players, 2 of us do as much damage as the rest of the 13 on the team. That has a huge impact. And it has a lot to do with positioning, gameplay, and skill. Again, in my opinion. I consider that fact, but you may consider it opinion. To each their own. This is a mid-tier game. So, admittedly, there's not a lot of really great players in here. Some of them are new. At which point, that really backs up the entire thing, doesn't it? Everyone's shooting each other. That's how you know. That's how you know new players. Their relative skill level, as opposed to me and Schlag, is probably pretty low. I didn't look at everyone's stats, but based on what I see, especially on the purple team and where they position, more than likely they're not highly skilled players. Whether they will be in the future because they're brand new or they'll start to learn, that none of that has anything to do with anything. Right now, right here, according to probably their what's the word I'm looking for? According to their body of work, they're probably not that great. All right. We'll stop it every once in a while, and we'll go over to mine as well, and we'll show you what I'm doing. But right now, I'm headed towards the heavy area. You can see me where I is B, somewhere in amongst all those fellers. Somewhere. I don't know. How come I can't see me? I don't know. I think I'm occluded. Occluded? Is that the word? I'm blocked, anyway, by the M6. Schlagzana comes up here to what is arguably a good early position for his tank that he's playing a little bit like a medium, and I like that. It's got, stop it, game. It's got a great gun for this tier, right? It's tier 6 and 5. This gun can handle anything out there. Nice speed, has a turret. He's going to come in here and he's going to run more like a medium instead of doing what? Sitting back here, which is what you generally see a TD player is going to do. Wolverine's kind of headed that way. We have a Type 64 sitting back there looking for some spots. Not a bad spot for a scout. He can kind of keep them honest if the enemy scouts are running along here and all that good stuff. Schlagzana gets to this point, and then people see him, and now we got all the enemy team are really going to do a bit of the moth to a flame thing right here. So he's got good early spots. There's a nice hold down position right here. All these guys are kind of staring at him, and he's getting some shots. Now, while all this is going on, you can see that the heavy push is headed down towards the south, which is pretty much the common spot you would expect the heavies to go to, although we have an EZ8 and a KB1 and some other stuff headed that way. So we're very light in the north. We have a couple guys, including a Hellcat, who I think actually goes up the hill and ends up dying, although he's getting hit right now. Somebody dies up on the hill later. And then we have the big push going to the south. So as far as positioning with my team, I don't have much of a problem with it. It's looking okay so far. What I don't know is what's going on down in the south heavy brawling area. We'll get to that in a minute. But what I do know is the guys in the middle, and I didn't realize Schlag was here yet. Yeah, the Hellcat actually makes a move. What I did not know is that Schlag was in the game. And what I also didn't know is where their heavies were. Now, the T-67 shows up, and I think, well, that's an odd place for a T-67. Nice aggressive move. Maybe he's looking for a free shot. Schlog gets a nice bounce from the KV-1, who, by the way, is shooting, I believe, the small gun at 110 right there. So, unfortunately, we're running into a couple stock guys and people grinding. So, again, that's to our advantage. The 67 makes a runner. Other KV-1 takes a big hit. And as I see the T-67 run away, and we'll get to this on my replay here in just a minute, Schlog has a little bit of unluckiness with his RNG with his gun, with his dispersion. Not necessarily RNG, but the dispersion. And that makes me think they didn't send anybody. And because of all the... Look at all the guys that are lit. It's like I'm just barreling around that corner. I see a opportunity right here to not get bogged down on this corner. And while I know I could potentially get overextended, and there's maybe a bunch of TDs sitting down on the peninsula down here, I feel like based on how much backup I have and how stuffed up they all are right here, plus they've taken hits, that I can get in and amongst these buildings. And if I'm carryful, if I'm carryful, then I can start working all these guys in the middle. They're just in a bad position, and with Schlog sitting up here beating them up, it's looking good. So they're just sort of wandering around. We got stock guns. We just have guys that really don't know what's going on right here. But we're going to assess that. When I say we, I'm talking Schlog and myself, and generally the rest of the team, and start pouring it on. So what cracked me up, though, is I'm the only guy who went. Right? With all my buddies back here, one of them took a hit. They're all hanging out back here going, well, isn't there supposed to be a fight right here? And I'm like, no, that fight is not going to happen today. At least not right now. Puts a hit on the KV-1. Alright, so let's hold it here. We're at about minute 12:44. We're in about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Let's go take a look at mine. Alright, at 13:26, about a minute before where we just left off, you can see that I've zoomed my camera out, and I'm trying to figure out where all those guys are down in the village. I saw the T-67 bail out like we talked about, and then I'm looking at it going, all right, what do we have in there? I can see where a couple of their KV-1s are. They're beat up. I haven't seen their KV-1S. That's a little bit concerning. I would kind of like to know where he is, and I sort of expected to find him here. So I really don't know exactly what I'm going to run into when I go downhill, but because the T-67 is bailing out so hard, I just don't feel like there's much there. The other thing, let me just say this. In a couple of cases, I will sometimes say what I think Schlagzana is thinking. Obviously, he's not here in this debrief, so I can't ask him exactly what he was thinking. So take some of that with a grain of salt. I'll try to keep it more centric to what I was thinking. But I will talk about what I think he was doing and why as well as a good player. So we come around the corner, and I take a shot here on this guy. I think he was shooting at somebody else. It ends up missing. Actually, I bounced it. This actually hits because I do more damage at the end. And I think that guy actually sits the whole time. I don't think he actually moves. So there's a couple of those shots coming in. And I want to run down. I am going to cover up in these buildings to give myself cover from whatever might be sitting up right there. I do need to be extremely careful, though, about getting overextended. And because Schlagzana is there, and I don't know it's him yet, but I see two tanks sitting up in this middle area, and I also don't see the north falling yet because we got a scout up there. I'm going to push down here, and I'm not worried about getting shot on this road. One of the problems with pushing in early right here, even if you get a situation like this, is if they own this little ditch and they've kind of pushed or beat up the guys right here, they've got all kinds of cross shots on you. But right now, because of the crossfires we have set up, and the M6 is right here as well, we're in a great situation here. Now, what I would have really liked to have seen is these dudes follow me up immediately, but it takes them a little while to come on in here. They seem to have some shots down there as well. So we'll push in. Like I said, I don't worry about getting shot in the side. The KV-1 doesn't even see how I check him, and that's something you want to get into the habit of. I did that check to see where his gun was. I don't think he even knows I'm there, so this is probably a new to not very good player, or both. He will know now, though. He's like, oh, someone's there. Sheesh. I see the little gun, so I'm like, whatever, hit me. I don't care. It's not going to hurt. Didn't damage me. 234 is making a runner, and I'll push in. I still don't have my buddies coming with me right here, right? They're all still sitting back there. A little bit disappointed. This will cause me a little bit of a problem here as we get into this position. And we'll just watch the brawl down in here, because I do get mixed up with quite a few tanks, and they definitely need to get rid of me right here. Finally, the KV-1's sort of coming in. T-34 doesn't have a very big gun. I'm just going to accept that he may get a couple shots. I mean, he's shooting really fast. Probably the little 37 millimeter. Even if it's the 57, he doesn't have a whole lot of oomph. And then I find that the KV-1S. So there's that dude. He's also running a kind of relatively small gun, as it is an S. So we'll just go around this dude and we'll kill him off. Now we got to work on the KV-1. I find the scout sitting there. He got trapped there very early in the game. Was not interested or could not get out of that spot without getting killed. So pinned down the scout right there, which was very nice. And now we've got Schlagzana working up there. And this is just a bunch of crossfire on the guys that are down here, and they're just in big trouble right now. They kill off my KV-1 buddy. I'm trying to get rid of the 64. He fires so fast. I do not want him to be shooting into my side freely. All right. I can see the Wolverine. There's a KV-1. There happens to be actually a TD in there. So I don't want to just come around sideways and have them machine gun me down. I have to be a little smarter about that. Getting sorted out when you get up against a building like this can be a pain in the rear. This is not exactly the most maneuverable tank in the world. See, there's a buggy up there as well. And they hit hard, especially if he has the big gun. They hit hard anyway, but if he's got that big gun, it's extremely difficult to deal with that. And there's 3 of them in there. So they're doing an okay job of kind of turtling up together in the middle of the town, but they're starting to get swamped. Although, I wouldn't say we're up 1300 hit points, which is good. I wouldn't say it's a runaway romple stomp yet, but we're in a good position. Easy 8 gets in there. T1 Heavy is kind of wandering around as well. I get a shot from this guy, but I get one in there. And I can't take too many from him. He's hitting pretty hard. That's not a bad little TD. I didn't realize what happened is the buggy actually turtled right there. I thought they were all going to come at me, and I wasn't sure what was going on. And I do that, and I'm like, oh, it looks to me, and it's hard to see, but it looks definitely like the buggy is sideways. Yep, and it looks like he is something. And all right, oh, look at that. The WZ-131 GFT is going away. The buggy looks to be turtled, so that'll give me an opportunity to just come in here. We'll shoot that guy in the back. We'll just go right by. Good on the WZ. That's helping his team right there. Put a shot into his side. Artie comes in on me. I bounce a shot from that guy just with a little shift and a little luck. And now we'll just turtle up here again, doing the old side scrape thing. So we've done some good work on this guy. And let's go see what has been going on with Schlag. We're up to 2,508 damage at minute 10:32. So 4.5 minutes into the game. All right, rejoining Schlag here at about 12:32. You can see I've just made my move into the town down there, which we just watched a considerable amount of. And we'll watch what Schlag's in. But let's just pause here for just a second and talk a little bit about what we were talking about at the beginning, that 2 good players making a large impact on the game. So he's locked down this spot. I've come into the town. I really wish my buddies had pushed in. We probably could have made them collapse faster, but it's okay. I'm being careful as I'm doing it, and he's providing a bunch of supporting fire. He actually does a lot of damage. So if you remember, I think it was the KV-1S, but we'll get there in just a second, when he comes out to start taking me on. And what Schlag's doing is something that's extremely important. He's continually looking for a shot, right? This is what I'm talking about right here, and it is the 1S. So he actually takes, I think, 400 hit points off this guy, which makes it much easier for me to kill him. Boom, boom. So 2 big hits. I think he might even be shooting HE, or maybe that was Artie. I don't know. Yeah, someone's stunned, so it was some Artie going in there. And we get that guy down. So a little tag team there. None of that was coordinated, because I still don't know what Schlag. I find out here towards the end of the game, or maybe even after the end of the game when I saw the name. I don't know. But he's in a good position, and he's providing good fire support. We tag team the 64. He pushes in to get rid of that guy, and now he's pulling out. And initially, when I watched his replay, I said, well, I wish he would have pushed in with us, but I think this is a pretty good plan. Hindsight / debrief kind of action, because we're probably okay in the city, and there's a couple guys sitting up here. So the last thing he wants to do is come busting out into this open and get shredded by guys in the bush. So he's taking a peek, seeing if he can do some damage with those guys. There's 3 of us in the city. It would be really nice if that T1 Heavy would play the game. And now he's going to reposition up to this top area, which is going to give some good overwatch. He can also flex to shoot up to the north in case something happens, but nothing's going on there. That 3001P, he lost a buddy up there, and he just didn't have enough firepower oomph to do anything. And the Type 64's got him locked down. So that's pretty important. That's a Tier 6, a good tank that was more or less taken out of the game completely. And I think he just misses this shot. That's unfortunate. He does get lit, and now he's going to take a shot from the 3001 who misses. So he's up there hiding behind that hold down area right there. We're starting to push in. This is about where we left my last part of the replay there at 10:30, and the collapse is starting to go on right here. Schlagzon's looking around. I think he takes a couple blind shots into this. T6 Type 64 is working his way up there. I like this just in case he's peeking around the corner. You might get a nice shot on this guy, but we can see it hit the ground behind. See that explosion of dust and dirt? That means you didn't hit anything other than the ground, the dust and the dirt. He takes one more. There we go. So he hasn't poked out and around that. All right, so we've dealt with the middle. He comes over this way. We're looking for that Sturv M42. That guy pokes out. Slow turret on the T78. You know, all the turreted TDs, most of them have slow turrets as one of the balancing factors. This dude is actually in a little notch. We end up killing him. So the buggy was problematic because he's got that pretty good gun. I wasn't interested in walking out in front of him because I'm pretty much out of hit points. As are several of these other guys. You know, he gets a couple lucky shots and he starts to even this thing up down in the fight here. But Schlagzon has taken the high position, puts a big thump on him with that good gun at 245, and that's basically locking it down right there. We get a kill on this dude, and they're down to whole 2 tanks. Let's take a look at what I did for the rest of that fight. Okay, back to the city right here. We'll see how we dealt with the 131 GFT, the buggy, and the other KV-1. We have the T1 sort of wandering around over here. The EZ-8 is a 1-shot. I'm a 2-shot. I thought they were going to push me. The EZ-8 takes a chunk off the KV-1. I get stuck on this rock like a giant muppet. We'll keep on working in here. That's where I see the buggy. Okay, so we saw this part. I didn't go quite far enough forward. We shoot the buggy in the back, spin back around, come over here, look for a shot. Depression on this tank is a pain. Should have gone for a track. Artie comes in, stuns me. I get that bounce right there, so that'll work. That'll give me a chance to get one more shot on him while I run for cover, and we'll do the side scrape thing. Finally, the T1 Heavy is into the fight. The Skoda's doing a nice little job up there, keeping him busy. This is where I thought they were going to push me. And I think, is that the T1 that finally gets involved? No, the M6 finally gets involved, so it would have been nice to have that bad boy up there. He gets one of them. I'll come out here. We'll shoot this guy. On the way, I think I eat one more shot. And he dies right there to the KV-1. T1 kills the KV... Oh, to the T1. All right, T1 got in. So we'll push up here and we'll start tracking the rest of these guys down. I don't get any more damage. I'm at 2676. That blind shot went in, so it ends up being 2,800 damage for me, 2,000 for Schlagzon. All right, so back to the stuff we talked about earlier, right? 2 good players having a huge impact on the game. Maybe, do I get a kill here? No, I think somebody else. There we go. 2 good players having a huge impact on the game. I've added the numbers up. 2,800 for me, 2,000 for him. That's 4,800. I talked about that earlier, where that's half. Or that's basically the same amount the rest of the team did, minus a little bit. But it's not a case of me sitting here and saying, well, these were 2 coordinated players. We were 2 completely random players. I don't know when he noticed I was on the team, but if he typed it in, I completely missed it. In fact, I probably missed it on the replays because I didn't look down on that either. Afterwards, I noted it, sent him a GG, and we started talking. I said, send that replay to me because it struck me as a good example of 2 individuals playing their best game, reacting to the match that they have, playing as well as they can, having a massive impact on a match. So explain to me again how it is that it's just luck. It's just matchmaker. It's just seal clubbing. All of that has an impact. None of it is the reason. And the only constant is you. The only constant is you. In every match you're in. So you are your body of work in terms of your skill at the game. You could be improving, So you could look at your full record at 48, 49, 50, and you're currently running 53, 55. That's important. So you're not necessarily the 49% player, but the history of your body of work is your history as a player. It's more important to look at the recents, obviously, because we want to know what people are recently doing. If you look at my recents, they're slightly worse than they used to be. There you go. I don't know. Age, not as much practice. Lots of things probably go into that. I'm not going to say it's one thing or the other. Maybe the game's changed. Maybe some of the metas passed me by a little bit. I'm not changing. I play a lot of goofy tanks. I don't play a lot of meta tanks. Those are excuse kind of ideas. There's other things that are just maybe I'm not as good as I was. All kinds of stuff. All kinds of possibilities. But notice that every bit of that has to do with me and how I work around that. So yes, you do, in fact, 100,000% have a personal impact on every game you play. Sometimes, in the one-offs, you get a little unlucky. You're driving along and somebody snaps you with the FV Death Star and you lose every hit point you had and you burn to the ground. That does happen. But that's the one-off match thing, right? This is also a one-off match. But when you take it in the context of the entirety of your body of work, if your stats are trending towards the higher side, then that's the skill talking. That's the skill talking. Whatever that happens to be. Are you a terrible person because you're not good at World of Tanks? No. Pretty sure no. You may be really fantastically great at other stuff. But it is, you have to be honest with yourself on where you are. And bottom line, the last thing I will say about this whole thing is I think this is a good example of what I'm talking about. But the bottom line is, do you want to get better from wherever you are right now? That's really at the end of the day. The answer may be no, you don't care, and you're fine with just raging around. It's a pixel tank game. Who really, at the end of the day, cares? In 100 years, certainly nobody. I don't know. Can I say that as an absolute? In 100 years, will nobody care about World of Tanks? I bet you can't say that. Like, maybe there's a grandchild of yours in 100 years, provided the current situation doesn't burn the world to the ground, and is looking through some old photos or YouTube channels or who knows what. And they remember their grandpa who loved World of Tanks. And then World of Tanks matters in 100 years. For that one instant in time. 10 million years? Can we say? Maybe? That's probably closer. Wouldn't that be interesting? In 10 million years, will World of Tanks be mentioned somewhere by some creature or AI? That's something to ponder. How did we get to that? I don't know. I have no idea. That's all I've got for this one, man. Let me know what you think down below. There's a lot of opinions about this. A lot of opinions. And some of them are quite nuanced. Some of them are just plain, you have no impact, it's all random. And everyone else has their own opinions about it. So let me know. It's an interesting discussion. Keep it nice. If you're going to tell me I'm dumb or something, then say make sure you say with all due respect. That's all I've got. We will see you. Schlogs on it. Thanks for sending that in. Much appreciated. Later, guys.